In this video, you'll learn how to play my fingerstyle arrangement of the First Noel. This is a beautiful melody, so let's start off with a demo so you can hear how it sounds, and then we'll move into our tutorial. If you're enjoying this arrangement, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, then welcome. I'm Lara. I'm a musician, a composer, and a ukulele teacher. I hope you enjoy exploring my channel, my arrangements, and my song tutorials. This arrangement for the First Noel is for low G tuning, and you'll find the tabs on screen during this lesson. If you'd like to download the tabs as a PDF, you can do so from my Patreon page, along with my book of tabs and my songbook, covering all of the tutorials that I've shared. You'll find the link to the PDF down below in the video description. Starting off in measure 1, we have just 2 notes. The first is the open 2nd string, and then we have the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. In measure 2, we're playing strings 3 and 4 together, both open strings. Then we're going back to the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Then we have our open 2nd string. And next we have the 1st fret of the 2nd string to finish measure 2. In measure 3, we're forming a partial G chord. Here I have my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string and my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Our melody note here is on the 2nd string, and we'll play an arpeggio or broken chord through that string. Next we'll play the open 1st string, and then the 2nd fret of the 1st string. In measure 4, we're going to a C chord using our ring finger, and we'll play an arpeggio through all 4 strings. Here the melody note is on the 1st string, so we want to play that string the loudest. Then we'll go down to the 2nd fret of the 1st string, and then to finish measure 4, we're going to place our index finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, playing strings 1 and 2 together. Now throughout this melody, when we pick 2 strings together, I tend to use my index and middle fingers. However, if you'd like, you can also use your middle and ring fingers together. It's personal preference based on what's most comfortable to you. In measure 5, we'll place our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, playing an arpeggio through that string. Then we'll play the open 1st string, and then the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Measure 6 is played the same way as measure 4. When we get to measure 7, we'll place our ring finger back down on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, just like we did at the beginning of measure 5. Then we're going to place our index finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string to pick strings 1 and 2 together. And then we're going to place either our middle finger or our ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string to pick strings 1 and 2 together again. In measure 8, we'll go back to our C chord to play an arpeggio through all 4 strings. Then we'll move our ring finger down to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string to play strings 2 and 3 together. The 3rd string is open. And then we'll finish measure 8 by placing our index finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string and our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string to play strings 2 and 3 together. In measure 9, we're starting off with all open strings, first playing strings 2 and 3 together, then we'll play string 4, 3, 2, and back to string 3, this time playing the 2nd fret. When we get to the end of measure 9, we have repeat bars, so we'll go back to measure 2 and play measures 2 through 9 one more time. After we play measure 9 for the 2nd time, then we'll move into measure 10, which is played the same way as measure 2. Then in measure 11, we're going back to our partial G chord to play an arpeggio through the 2nd string. Then we're going up to the 3rd fret of the 1st string, and then the 2nd fret. Now you can use your ring and middle finger for these 2 notes, or you can use just your ring finger and slide it back 1 fret. I like to do this because it puts my hand in a better position to form the F chord at the beginning of measure 12. Then after this arpeggio on F, we'll play the open 1st string. In measure 13, we're going back to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string to play an arpeggio through that string. Then we'll play the open 4th string, then the open 3rd string, and then in measure 14, we're going to an A minor chord. So we play A minor with our index finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and we're also playing our melody note with our pinky on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Here we'll play an arpeggio through all 4 strings. Then we're going to place our ring finger down on the 2nd fret of the 1st string to pick strings 1 and 2 together. And then we'll place our index finger down on the 1st fret of the 2nd string to play strings 1 and 2 again. In measure 15, we'll go back to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Then we'll pick the open 1st string. And now we're going to another partial G chord, this time on strings 1 and 2. So I have my index finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string and my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. We'll play strings 1 and 2 together. And then as we move into measure 16, we'll place our ring finger down on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, forming our C chord. Here we'll play an arpeggio through all 4 strings. Then we'll move our ring finger from the 1st to the 2nd string, staying on the 3rd fret. We'll pick strings 2 and 3 together. And then we're going to move our index finger to the 1st fret of the 2nd string and our middle finger to the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. We'll play strings 2 and 3 again. And then for our final arpeggio in measure 17, we have all open strings, and we'll play an arpeggio through the 2nd string. If you're feeling generous as we're heading into the holiday season and you'd like to support my channel, then see the video description for an easy way to buy me a coffee. I hope you've enjoyed learning my arrangement of the First Noel. Have fun practicing. Thanks for watching and happy holidays.